One of the more unusual flutes that we make is our double flute or our drone flute. And it's called a drone flute because this side that has no holes in it just plays a continual note underneath this side as you're playing a melody. And that continual undertone is called a drone. Now you'll see these flutes in a couple different styles. One style is where the drone is glued up right next to the melody flute, where they're kind of one flute, and it's called a shotgun style. We make ours in this A-frame style because it's a little easier to catch the holes, so you can reach through. It's not as far to reach across both flutes. And because this is resting on your hand, it's a little more comfortable, a little easier to hold when you're playing in for longer periods. Now to hold the flute, you take your left hand and you just reach it right through, just like that. And it doesn't matter if your left hand's on the top or the bottom. Either way, your left hand reaches through and the drone just kind of rests on the hand there. If it was on the bottom, it would be the same thing, where the drone just rests on your hand there. Now in our flutes, we have two holes, one that feeds the drone and one that feeds the melody sides. And sometimes you'll see one hole that will feed both flutes. But we do this so that you can turn the drone on and off as you're playing. Now, just playing on that one side will sound something like this. Just like a single flute. Now, you can also add the drone in and just play a continual drone. So the drone is just playing the whole time underneath the melody, and that sounds something like this. It creates a real full sound to your melodies. Now, another way to play it that adds a little more dynamics to it is to turn the drone on and off. So I can play on one side and then switch to playing both and then just go back to the single flute. So it'll sound something like this. Creates a lot of dynamics. And then another way to play is to use the drone to emphasize different phrases of like a song or a melody. And we can play a phrase, which is kind of just a short little section of notes, and then just on its own on the melody side, and then add the drone in and play that phrase again or some variation on that phrase, and then go back to the melody side just on its own and either create a new phrase or play that same phrase again. And this is an example of that. Now, so far I've just been playing the lower octave on the drone, but you can also pop it up to the higher octave by just blowing a little bit harder, putting a little more emphasis on your tonguing will pop it up to that next octave. And I'll show you, this is the lower octave just playing on the drone side. Now if I add a little more breath and maybe use my tonguing to kind of pop it up to that next octave. And you can use that to create a lot more dynamics within your melodies. So something like this, where I'm using that higher note on these upper notes and keeping the drone in that lower tone and these lower notes and mixing it up a little bit too. creates a real neat dynamic sound. Very cool flute.